everybody. So in my last video I mentioned that I wanted to do a slightly longer video where I go through my whole fountain pen collection with you guys instead of just my currently inked pens. So that's what we're gonna do today. So for starters, I'll just go back over the pens that I went through in my last video because those are the ones you've already seen, so I don't really need to harp on them too much. So for starters, I've got a Pilot Metropolitan. This is the gray Retro Pop Houndstooth, I believe. And this one is, you can see there, this one's a medium nib, and if you know anything about fountain pens, you'll know that Pilot is Japanese, and Japanese fountain pens tend to be a little on the smaller side. So this kind of writes a lot like my other finds, but I love it, and right now I'm using it actually in this journal right here for my workouts. Right, next up, this is the one that's currently in my pen loop for my Hobonichi. This is the TWSBI Eco in transparent purple, as you can see. I've got this inked up with Van Diemen's Black Tongue Spider Orchid. Also, in case you didn't see the other video, I've got this inked up with Diamine Marine. So this is, and I've said it before, I'll say it again, this is my favorite fountain pen that I currently own. It's perfect. I don't really know how else to describe it. It's perfectly balanced, perfectly weighted. It writes amazingly. I like the ink capacity. I think the only thing I don't like about it is that the grip section doesn't come off. But other than that, I have zero issues with this pen. I love it. It's perfect. Oh, and this is a medium nibbed pen. I did notice, as I watched back my other videos, that I tend to talk kind of fast. So I'm gonna try and slow down my voice a little bit, but I do have a lot of pens to go over, so we'll see how that goes. As mentioned in the last video, I have a Visconti Van Gogh in Starry Night. This one is a fine nibbed pen, and this is currently inked up with Diamine Polar Glow. It's just a beautiful pen. This was a grail pen for me. I really just kind of waited for the right opportunity, and it was one of those things where the stars kind of aligned, and here we are. Get a little of that magnetic cap action right there. My most recent pen acquisition is the TWSBI Diamond 580 ALR in Punch Pink. This I currently have inked up with Sailor Ink Studio 130, which I'm loving those Sailor inks right now. I have about 5 of them, and they're really great inks. This is a fine nib, and what's really good about these pens is that the whole nib unit and the grip section comes right off. So if I ever wanted to, I could swap this out with my Emerald 580, so I'd get a medium nib, and the pen would stay the same. Or I could change the grip sections for whatever reason, and that would be fun too. And last, for my currently inked pens, is the Lamy Studio in Glacier. This was this year's special edition color. I know some people don't really like the slick metal grips that are on these pens. This is an extra fine nib. I don't personally mind it. I think they're fine. This one's a little slippery. Like, I have no issue with the grip section on the Visconti. That's also a slick metal grip. This one is actually a little slipperier, but still no issue there. And also, this one has not just a push to post, but it snaps to post, which is really, really fun. I can't explain why that's so satisfying. It just is. So now there's no real rhyme or reason how I'm gonna be showing you the rest of my pens. I've got this clear acrylic makeup organizer that has some shelves in it that I just kind of keep my my pens in, and there's, like I said, no real rhyme or reason to how I'm showing them to you. I'm just kind of grabbing them from the shelves, and we'll see how this goes. So first things up, this was like one of those easy pen purchases. It's like one of those things that's just so small, you just kind of add it onto something else. So I have myself a little Jinhao Shark pen. I don't know what the actual number is. It's the Shark. It's a Shark pen. These pens are great. This one's a twist, a screw cap. It's got 3 rotations, which is why I kind of stopped using it. Also, you know, ignoring the fact that I'm a 25-year-old woman using a pen that looks like a shark. But it's got a really nice extra fine hooded nib, which I really, really like, which is why I got my other Jinhao, because it has the same nib. And you know, for a $4 pen, it's not only a cartridge converter, but it comes with a converter, which you can't get that on like some like Sailor gold nib $200 pen sometimes. So it's a really nice touch that on like their cheapest pen, or one of their cheapest pens, they gave you the converter. So speaking of Jinhaos, I've got the Jinhao 51A in the blue-green ombre, and like I said, this has the same hooded nib, which is really nice. And it's got this like nice plastic housing, because you know, this was, if anyone is a fan of Goulet pens, they had their trunk bay Edison Nouveau Premier, and I missed out on that. This is the closest I'm probably getting to that color scheme, but it's really pretty. I really like it. And also, this one was a little more expensive. This one was about $15. And this one came with a converter as well, which I think is just a nice touch that Jinhao gives you the converters that you need. And this one is just a regular push snap cap, which this is one of the few pens that I actually post that doesn't actually need it, just because it's a very light resin, and without the cap, it almost feels like I'm not holding on to anything. So I put the cap on that way. I kind of have a little more weight to the pen, and just makes it fit much nicer in my hand. So I have two pens that I guess would be considered vintage. I don't fully know what the pens are, so if someone watching wants to help me out to confirm whether I'm right or wrong, let me know. I have two. These are Waterman, I think they're Waterman Laureates. I could be wrong, I could be pronouncing this wrong, I don't know. So I've got two of these. I've got this black and red model, and I have an all red model, and this one, as you can see, this one, so these were both, this one was my dad's, and then this one was my grandfather's. This one we found in the box with a converter. It had been cleaned. This one we found in a drawer with a cartridge in it, probably not having been used for 25 years. So the cap is like there's nothing sealing it. So whenever I use this pen, I take the cap off of this one and swap it. So this is what it looks like uncapped. It's push to posts. Nice small pen. Here, this one I believe is a fine nib, and the black and red one is a medium nib. These are two steel nib pens. They write really well, and honestly, for not having been used for 25 plus years, I'm gonna go with 30. Let's be real. I'm gonna go with 30 years. I've had no issues with them. This one tends to dry out a little faster, but which is weird because it's the medium, not the fine. But honestly, I have no issues with these pens. I haven't had to do much maintenance on them other than like giving them a really intense flushing. That's really the only maintenance I've had to do on them. So for 30-year-old pens that haven't really been used in 25 or 30 years, they're doing pretty great. And I'm loving these so far. And I've had these since the beginning. My dad gave these to me when I first started collecting fountain pens. From one end of the spectrum to the other, here's my TWSBI Go. This was one of my very first fountain pens. Actually, this was my very first fountain pen that I bought once I kind of had an idea of what I liked from pens. So now primarily what I use this for is if I want to write something or I want to sample an ink, but not use too much of it, because it's very easy to just kind of get a little bit and you're good to go. Give you like, so this has as opposed to the other TWSBIs, which are all turn pistons, this one is a spring-loaded piston. You just kind of do that. So it's very easy to just get a little bit, and since the whole system is clear, it's very easy to see how much ink I have. So I did that with a letter recently. I just sucked up a little bit of ink, wrote my letter, and put the rest back in the bottle because I was only using it for about 20 minutes. And this one, like I said, I don't use this one all that much anymore because I have so many other pens, but for the ink testing and that kind of thing, it's really useful. We're just going to bop around the spectrum here. This is my Pilot Vanishing Point, which I'm going to get a lot of hate for. I don't really use it that much. Not because I don't love it. I do. The grip section with the clip here, I have 0 issues with. I mean, you can see that a little bit more. So I've got the gunmetal with the matte black. And I have one very good reason, which is going to make people hate me, why I don't use this. I broke it. It was open and then the pen fell and the nib bent. It does kind of right. And I'll be honest, I'm not the biggest fan of the nib size to begin with. I bought this with an extra fine because that's all that was available at the time. And I'm not the biggest fan of Pilot extra fines. So eventually I will be getting a nib replacement for this in either a fine or a medium, because I really do like the Pilot mediums. So this pen's been through a lot. Hopefully I'll get more use out of it soon when I can get a new nib, because that's what I end up. I end up buying new pens with the money I intend to buy a new nib for this pen. So one of these days she'll get a new pen, she'll get a new nib, but for now she sits in my drawer looking pretty. Finishing out my TWSBI collection, showed this in my first pen video when I did my TWSBI comparisons. This is the TWSBI Diamond 580 AL in Emerald. This was the first special edition of 2019. This was also my very first special edition purchase, because it was one of those pens where, like, I saw it and I'm like, I really want that pen, but I shouldn't buy it because I don't know what I'm doing with fountain pens yet. Like, this is so new, this is so weird. And before this, the only other pen that I'd bought was my TWSBI Go, so I didn't really know much. But then I made the decision that, you know, if it's still in stock in the nib size that I want by the end of the day, or by the time I got home, I should say, by the time I got home is what I said, because I was at work that day, then I would buy it. And as luck would have it, we were having a bit of a snowstorm here. So I got to leave work early and got home about 1 o'clock, noon, something like that. So since my caveat was by the time I got home, they were well in stock because they'd only just gone on sale an hour before I got home. So there's a sign that this one was meant for me. This one is a, let's show you, this is a medium nib on this one. So this one is, it's very smooth. It's a little wet for my liking, but at this point I know what inks to use with it, so I don't have any issues with that. So now that we've gone over some of my biggest pens, we can go over my smallest pen. I have myself a little Kaweco Sport. This is a Frosted Sport, sorry. The Kaweco Frosted Sport in Blueberry, I believe. This is just a cute little pen that I don't use as often as I should. It's just, like I said before, I don't post most of my pens. This one really does need to be posted. If I'm just writing a quick note, my hand is small enough that I can write with it. I just choose not to. But posting it makes it the perfect pen size. If you align it so the clip doesn't eat at your hand. This one also, I believe, is a medium nib. I believe these are, I don't know if these are Jowo or Bach anymore because they changed them a while ago. But people have said they've had like some issues with like babies bottoming and stuff like that. I haven't had any issues with this nib. It's a medium and it's a tiny pen, so it's pretty small, but no issues with that. And then with these, I know if you want to use bottled ink, you should get the Kaweco converter. I have not. I have just been emptying and refilling the cartridge that came with the pen, which eventually I have other cartridges that I can do the same with. I can empty and refill. So for now, that's just what I've been doing. I've only used this one a couple of times since I bought it last October. But this one actually, well, I didn't buy it with Monteverde Blueberry Muffin. I got that free because I bought this with another pen last year. But this one has been just a really cute, fun pen that I should use more. But I get stuck in my in my ways. Once I kind of start inking up a certain pen, I like to use it for a really long time, and other pens kind of get lost to the wayside. But this will be this will be next up when I de-ink something. This will be the next one in line. I think that'll be fun. So along with the Kaweco Sport, it was both my post-birthday order and my fountain pen day order. I purchased a Monteverde Monza 3, I think is what they're called, or just the Monza, I don't know. But it's this cute little resin cigar-shaped pen. And what appealed to me most was that, I don't. So currently I've got a medium nib on there. What appealed to me was, the clear feed, which to me was just really cool. And also, it's the Monza 3, so it comes with 3 nibs. Right now I have the medium on here because that's just how I decided to store it. But it came with a medium nib, a fine nib, and a flex nib. And they all came in their own grip sections with their own converters. So honestly, I don't remember how much it cost, but I paid not a lot of money for 3 pens in one, basically. And also I now have 3 standard international converters for whatever reason should I need them. So it was very much worth the price at that point. I haven't used this one as much. I did use the flex nib for a little while just to kind of play with it, but I think I need to find an ink that better suits that pen because it was pretty dry. So I'll, one of these days, I'll try again. This is a pen that I bought at a convention that, I don't know why I bought it. It's a Speedball fountain pen. I bought it at like an art supply booth at a convention I went to last year, mostly because it was like $8. And it's a 1.1 millimeter stub, which I was kind of getting into at the time. I'm not the biggest fan of stub nibs. I might be if it was a better stub nib. This was more of that impulse purchase of it was $8 for a stub nib. I should buy that. I think there's actually ink in here. Yeah, there's some semblance of Noodler's Navajo turquoise left in this pen. You know, like and one of the big draws was, oh, it comes with a refillable cartridge, and I'm like, every cartridge is refillable, but I think these are meant more so that they won't lose their seal. Maybe one day I'll get used out of this pen again, but for right now, I don't have much use for it. I'm not the biggest fan of stub nibs. I'll be perfectly honest. I'm pretty happy in my fine medium range of pens. So finishing out the roster, I've got 2 Lamis. There we go. I've got a Lamy Safari in mint glaze, and I have a Lamy All-Star in blue-green. So we'll start with the Safari. So this is a fine nib, I believe. Yes, this is a fine nib, if you can see. This was one of the 3 special editions from 2019. And they kind of started, when Lamy kind of started their whole 3 special edition colors at one time kind of thing. It was this, there was a blue, and there was a pink. And the names of those colors are escaping me right now. This pen, I liked it for a very long time. It was really nice. It's a little on the light side for me, so I kind of always had to post it, even though by posting it made it really long and kind of back-weighted. So I would usually use it without posting it, and then it would just be very light and kind of uncomfortable. So now, honestly, this mostly just kind of houses the nib until I want to move that nib to another pen. But, you know, it's got that signature triangle grip, which has 0 impact on my grip, because I'll either hold it like this or like this with my finger on top, which doesn't bother me at all. This was like my first kind of foray into Lamy pens, and I'm not disappointed. It got me into Lamy pens. It's just, I prefer the All-Star to the Safari, plain and simple. So back to the Safari in blue-green. Take a look at that one. This pen kind of was my first kind of, this pen kind of got me into the Lamy Extra Fines, because it's a German-made pen, so it's slightly broader than that Extra Fine on the Pilot that I said I didn't like. And it was a nice smooth writer. I got this one actually, I didn't order this one online. I bought this one in the Lamy flagship store in Soho when I went there at the beginning of 2020 back in January. We just happened to be in the area, so I was like, I kind of want to just go check it out. At the time, it was slightly too early for the tourmaline, because I think if that had been out, that's what I would have bought. Because that's something that I really wanted to see it in person. And they had samples, but they weren't selling the pens yet because they hadn't actually been released. But I saw the blue-green, and I was like, this is really, really nice. So, long story short, I bought it. And in store, I think every pen on the shelf is an extra fine, and you can just ask for a different nib size. But I wanted the extra fine. So this pen, I had it inked up for like 4 months straight, something like that. I want to say through April. And this one had Diamine Marine in it for a very, very long time, until eventually I think I changed to Fire and Ice. And when I got my Glacier, I de-inked it, because usually I don't like to ink 2 of the same pen brand at the same time. Clearly I'm breaking those rules right now with my 580 and my Ego, but my Ego is just constantly inked. So, but I absolutely, I've been saying this about almost every pen that I have. I absolutely love this pen. I wouldn't buy, I'm very particular about the kinds of pens that I buy, so I don't buy something unless unless I really think I'm gonna love it, or it's $8. So this is my fountain pen collection. It kind of runs the gambit on everything. I've got pretty much every nib size except for broad, and I've kind of run the whole range of prices if you look through everything. So thank you for watching. I hope you enjoyed it. If you did, like, subscribe. I'm trying to put out at least 1 video a week on Wednesdays. Hopefully I'll be able to keep up that schedule. So far I've done it 2 weeks in a row. Maybe next time I can walk you through my inks. I'll probably go through my bottled inks first. That's my plan. I have a lot of samples, so bottled inks won't be an hour-long video. Samples might be. So we'll see where my ink videos take me. Hopefully soon I can get myself a dip pen and I can start doing some real ink journaling and some real ink testing, and get maybe a nice notebook to keep all of my ink samples, ink sample tests in. So again, thank you for watching, and until next time, see you later, pen friends. Have a great day.